As catchy as that title song is, I don't think we need to hear it looped one more time. Good morning, everybody. My name is Noah. I am one of the educators with Shortcuts, and today on our Tuesday classroom session, we're going to be looking at the Cloud Appointment Book, the basics. So if you've never used it before, if you're using an old version of Shortcuts and you wanted to see what some of the cloud features were about, today we're going to be looking at the Appointment Book. So let's jump right into it. So if you've never sat in on a classroom session before, it's going to be about 30 minutes, give or take. We are recording the session, so if you have to drop out early, that's fine. We will send you a copy of the link a little later today when we post it online. And of course, if you have any questions, we will make time at the end for questions. And if you're watching this video after the fact, you can always reach out to us on our webpage and even on our social media pages, Facebook and Instagram, and ask your question, and we will get back to you. So let's talk a little bit about the Cloud Appointment Book. So Shortcuts has a number of services, or a number of features, I should say, that are available on the cloud. So in some cases, perhaps you have a laptop, a tablet, a computer in the back, and you want to make sure the staff has access to bring up the appointment book, make appointments, move appointments, or even have access to the client card so they can look at the history, update their notes, things like that. So the Cloud Appointment Book is one of the ways in which you can have multiple access to the appointment book without necessarily tying up the front desk. So we're going to look a little bit at how to access it, what are some of the basic functions of the Cloud Appointment Book, and we're even going to talk about reports that are available in the cloud, and of course the dashboard, which is sort of a combination of reports and updates on what your marketing campaigns are. So the cloud itself. So if you've ever logged into the Shortcuts console, and in the previous classroom sessions, we did an intro on the console itself. So that is on console.shortcutsoftware.com. Hopefully, most of you are familiar with that. Your username is going to be an email, and a password you should have set by now, or it's going to be a random password from Shortcuts. Once you're there, once you're logged in, you should see a button that says Shortcuts Cloud. When you log into the cloud, it's going to load a separate web page. So you could go directly to your own salon's cloud page, and that's at point of sale, pos.shortcutsoftware.com. Usually there's going to be a site ID. So it's a bunch of numbers. So that's why it's a little bit easier to log in via the console. Now, there is a chance that some of you may be using a really old version of Shortcuts, and when you go to the cloud, you don't see an appointment book. Instead, the only thing you see is the marketing option. So that's where you can send email campaigns to your customers. In that case, you might want to reach out to customer care to see about either running an update or getting on a newer package, which gives you access to the appointment book. So the Cloud Appointment Book itself, it's actually a mobile-friendly, again, a tablet or a second computer-friendly way of accessing your appointment book without necessarily getting a second license for Shortcuts, which would have to be installed. So the appointment book itself, it has all of the functionality of your regular appointment book at the point of sale. So you can make appointments, you can move appointments, you can bring up customer details, and again, this is all accessed, or it's all locked down via security access. So you can give your staff permission to see some details or not others. You can give the staff perhaps permission to just see the appointments and not make or move appointments. So this is controlled via security. But if you want, you can give them access as if they were at the point of sale computer to make appointments, move appointments, and even delete appointments. So of course, the big benefit of this is on any computer, Mac or PC, or even mobile device, all you really need is an internet connection. So some of the basics in the cloud. So we're going to look at how do you make an appointment? And it's as easy as making an appointment on the regular appointment book. How do you search for a client? How do you select a service? How do you add a client tag? So all of the basics that you can do in the cloud, you can also do in the point of sale. So we're going to walk through the steps on making an appointment, changing the status of the appointment, if you need to update the client card, or add history notes to the visit. How do you access those things? Again, all the same things you can do in point of sale, you can do in the cloud. The other advantage of this is once the customer is in the chair, if the stylist recommends perhaps the customer could really benefit from a conditioner or a shampoo, if their hair is oily, or a certain mask treatment that might complement the services that they're receiving, that staff member could bring up your inventory, your products on the cloud and actually add those so that when the customer is ready to check out at the point of sale, those products will be added to the ticket. So, of course, it gives the front desk person a chance to go and make sure that those items are ready for their bag when they're ready to check out. So keep that in mind. Not only does the staff have the ability to make and move appointments, but they can also recommend and add products to their tickets. So let's actually look at the cloud in action. So I'm going to log out of the presentation for a second. Actually, just exit it. There we go. And into the cloud. So as you can see, it is essentially a web-based version. Now let me close out this. There we go. It is a web-based version of my appointment book. So all of the same staff that I see on my regular point of sale computer, they are here. If I go to make an appointment, so I would just select an open time on my computer. Let's say I'm going to make a visit for Amy. I'll choose her 11 o'clock time, just as I would on the point of sale. When I do that, Shortcut says, okay, let's go ahead and search for customers. So maybe I'm searching for myself. There I am. And the cloud itself goes step by step to help you guide you through the process. So if you have an employee and perhaps they're not too tech savvy, they're not as comfortable with shortcuts as the receptionist would be, at the bottom of the screen, Shortcuts will go step by step and guide them through the process. So I can either press task, and if I was Amy, I can book myself a task such as I'm doing inventory or I'm going to lunch, so I'm just blocking this time out for myself. Or in this case, I can go to the next window. And then Shortcuts is going to say, okay, here's your service menu. What service is this customer coming in for? And perhaps this person's coming in for a haircut. So I'll choose shampoo cut and style, and there it is, men's cut and style. So at the bottom of the screen, again, I can go next. And then Shortcuts will say, okay, what type of customer is this? Is this the new customer? Is this a referral, a salon regular? I'll say perhaps this is just a salon regular. Once I press done, then the appointment appears on my appointment book, just like it would on my regular point of sale computer. Any appointment that is made in the cloud will synchronize to the actual Shortcuts point of sale. So all three of the appointments that I have on the cloud will actually pop up there. And if I select that appointment that I just made for myself one time, it'll say my name, what service I'm coming in for, I requested Amy, and at the bottom of the screen, I have an option that says confirmed. So I can click that, and of course I can confirm that I'm coming in. Or if you notice just to the right, there's three little dots. So this allows you to change the status of the visit. So I can mark them as arrived, no-show, review them, cancel the appointment if I want. If the staff has permission to send text to the customers, I can then set text customers. And you do have the ability to create templates that they're allowed to use, such as with COVID still being an issue in a number of places, perhaps the template that we set up is that your station is available now, and if the customer is waiting outside or waiting in their car, then the default template is your station is available now, please come in for your visit. And that'll be the default text that the customer receives. If I'm changing the details on the appointment or going to access the customer history, it'll actually bring up all of my previous visits, previous services, and if I had any visit notes, any history notes, I would read them or have them available here, such as color formulas, or I can add notes for this visit. So maybe I'm going short on the side, and that's my notes. Or if I'm getting a clipper cut, what guard did I use? Things like that. So I'm going to go back. And again, from the Cloud Appointment Book, I select the appointment, and to change the details or to change the information, I simply select the three dots on the right side of that pop-up window. If I move my mouse over the appointment, Shortcuts will again bring up the details. It'll ask me, okay, do I want to opt in or opt out of certain things? Marketing, appointment reminders, things like that. Should I update my mobile phone? Should I double check my customer notes? Do I want to see any future appointments that this customer has? So it's, again, all of the same information that you would have in the traditional point of sale does appear here in the cloud. Not only that, you can see from the appointments, if I decide that I'm going to move a service, just as I would on the regular Shortcuts point of sale, I can click that service and I can drag it to a different person. So let's say Alyssa has an appointment at 11 o'clock and I'm going to assign it to Ella instead. I would simply select that visit and just slide it over. And there it is. So it's very easy to work with. If you've ever used regular Shortcuts point of sale, the cloud is very complementary. So let's jump back to the presentation. So with just a few button presses, you can make appointments, access customer history, access customer notes, and even move appointments around. And again, this is protected by security. You can lock out the staff and make it so that the only thing they can do is see the appointments, and that's it. They can't see customer details, can't make or move appointments. So with access to the cloud, not only do you have the ability to use the appointment book, you also have cloud-based reports. Now, in the Shortcuts point of sale, we have over 120 different reports that you can run. So some of these reports, you're only going to need quarterly or annually. In the cloud, we've narrowed it down to the most important reports for running a business, the day-to-day operations and the monthly operations. So these are your key performance indicators. So when it comes to tracking your staff performance, your staff attendance, your productivity, your business data, those are all available on your key performance indicators in the cloud reports. So in the cloud, if you go to the menu button at the top of the screen and access reports, you're going to see these reports. So booking analysis, employee productivity, trading summary, employee performance, and targets in some cases. So you do have the ability to make targets for individual staff members as well as for the business. And this is based on weekly goals that you set for them. The dashboard is sort of a collection of different metrics. It's selecting the most important information from all of the other reports, plus information that doesn't exist on the other reports, and consolidating them on one screen. The nice thing about the dashboard, I like to say it's like the trading summary on steroids, because you can select any reporting period, whether it's this past week or this past month or this past year, and all of the important data will actually show up in real time. So what's in the booking analysis report? So we would advise it to run it for either a single day or several months, depending on what you're trying to report on. And what you want to look at is look at those online bookings compared to those made in the Shortcuts point of sale. So it's going to show you just how effective the cloud is when it comes to getting those customers repeat visits. You, of course, can track any cancels, no-shows, and the appointments that were completed. The employee productivity report If you want to take a look at the booked hours versus the utilization, the actual hours that the staff worked, you're going to see that plus the clients that were visited. And we would advise for this one, analyze it for a week or a month if you want. And if you are a multi-site location, and this goes for other reports as well, there is a pull-down menu which allows you to select a single site or all sites. And you can even filter it to specific staff members. So that's the employee productivity report. Again, it's on the cloud. The trading summary. Historically, the most important report in the Shortcuts point of sale, and really the most important report for any business, is the trading summary. It's a snapshot of everything the business has done. Usually, you run it at the end of each trading day, but you can run it for any time period. And Shortcuts on the cloud will actually update your data. For all of the reports that we have, you do have the ability to print the report or export the report. So maybe you want to save it, run it through Excel, or just filter out some information in Excel using formulas. You can always export any one of the reports from the cloud. So employee performance, that's a little bit different than employee productivity. So this has 5 specific KPIs. What their service totals and averages were, retail, their totals, hours, and of course customer visits. At the bottom of that particular report, there's a little arrow which allows you to open up each category and see a breakdown of those details. And as with other reports, you can give the staff permission to look at certain reports. Usually, the report you want to give them access to is their targets report. So you don't want them looking at performance or productivity or, of course, the trading summary, but they should see the targets that you set for them and see if they're meeting exactly at their goals or exceeding their goals. So the dashboard, probably my favorite one because it's the super cluster of information. So it's pulling information from the multiple reports we have, and it's giving you graphs to see how the business is doing, how the staff members are doing. And again, if you are a multi-site location, it can pull data from all of the sites, or you can filter it to individual sites. At the bottom of the dashboard, if you have any email marketing campaigns active, Shortcuts will actually have a running total of how many messages have been sent out, either for the ongoing or the one-time blast. Now, some Shortcuts customers have never gotten an upgrade. It's hard to believe. They're not using the cloud services. They're not using really even the console for online booking because they're perhaps in a small community and they don't have a need for that. But of course, as sites are starting to open, as communities are starting to go back to the services, going back to a normal way of life, you suddenly discover that clients need the salons, need the spas, need the barbershops to be available online. So not just for the customer to make appointments, but for the staff to access their appointment books, for the owners to look at their reports, look at their business data. So if you're using an ancient version of Shortcuts, now might be the time to see about getting on the cloud or upgrading your package so that you can upgrade your system and get cloud access. So that's an overview. Those are some of the basics in the cloud. You should now know how to access the appointment book, some of the basic functions of the appointment book, how to access the reports, and working with the dashboard. We are going to have a more advanced version of the cloud, a classroom session coming up, where I will actually walk you through setting up targets, giving staff permission, things like that. This presentation is just to give you a sense as to what are the basics in the cloud appointment book. So again, if you're using an old version of Shortcuts, if you've never used the cloud or the console, please see about getting an upgrade. This is going to help the business and, of course, help customers find you. So question and answer time. So if you're using the GoToWebinar toolbar, on the right side, there should be a little chat, a little questions window. Go ahead and enter your questions there. And on my side, I'm going to bring up the window as well so I can see those questions. Now, if you are watching this presentation after the fact, so you're watching a recording that we'll send out, if you have any questions, you can always just email them to us. So I'm at education@shortcuts.net. So I'll get a chance to look at it, or one of my colleagues will get a chance to look and answer your question. And of course, you can also ask us on social media. So on Instagram, on Facebook, at Shortcuts USA, you can reach out to us. So let's see. I don't think we have any questions yet, or everybody's probably writing down some notes. And I'll give you a moment. Nope, I don't think I have any questions this morning. So if that's the case, we'll go to the next window. So if you're not using the cloud, if you're not using the appointment book, or you have an old version of Shortcuts, or you need to see about upgrading your tiers or your packages, go ahead and reach out to our customer care team. So here's our email, here's our phone number. And again, you can also reach us on social media. So if you're watching the video after the fact and you have a question on the cloud, accessing the cloud, perhaps you do have access to the cloud, and there's a question you had on the dashboard, or a question you had on targets, and maybe you can't make the next classroom session, go ahead and ask us and we'll reach out to you. Well, thank you all for attending. So I appreciate all of the visits, and we will talk more about our online services in the next few classroom sessions. So if you have any follow-ups, go ahead and let me know, and I will get back to you. Again, to reach out to me or the education team, you can just email us at education@shortcuts.net. All right, thanks everybody, and we'll see you again on the next classroom.